I am joined by one of Pokemon's most legendary and energetic personalities in the world right now, who also just competed in the Toronto Regional Championships and dominated the tournament. Flew across the Atlantic Ocean to give us North Americans that work with not just Iron Crown and DD, everyone, but with Okidogi. Yes, you heard me. So I'm joined by the koala bear, the Greek from the East.
Hey,
Kosta Daidimos. How you doing, brother?
Mate, thank you so much, Dash. I think that was the biggest hype up I've ever received, and you absolutely executed and took it all the way through. So thank you so much. Appreciate it. But I'm feeling good. I'm feeling ecstatic. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me on. Super appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, I just sort of went on a whim to Toronto, in all honesty. So it was sort of speaking to my wife saying, oh, hey, we've always wanted to go to Canada. You fancy going? And she's like, sure. In January, off seasons, like, yeah. And then I was like, by the way, there's a regional there. It's like, I've got your number.
No, and I mean, it's awesome, right? Like, I think the cool part about this game is that you can travel the world, right? Go to different countries, go with your loved ones, and really enjoy these moments, but also going to your passion. And you are someone who, I'm looking at your background right now, you got a sick backdrop behind you. You're also commentating the European International Championships next weekend or 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks,
yeah. So you are in the Pokemon space, and not only are you known for commentating, but you're a dog when it comes to playing. And looking at, I'm going to pull up your stuff right here.
Mm-hmm.
You have some really cool stuff. Like you played the game and you dominated the game. Not only do you have a really cool team, you went on a really awesome run, beating players like Marco Silva, Nicholas Donnelly, some really large players. And I just want to give you credit, but I also want to know that this video, for everyone watching at home, we are about to give you not just his story and his team with all the EVs, all what they're there for, all the spreads, everything that you possibly need to know about this team, but we're going to go into your run and how you advise people at home to beat those matchups as well. So this is going to be awesome. We're going to talk about your story. We're going to highlight, capture your moment. And then for all of you watching at home, we got to give you all the Iron Crown sauce, man. So yeah, that's what today's going to look like, bro. I hope you're ready to rock.
Oh, yes, big time. And I think you're sort of giving a call out to, kind of got the dog in me. Thankfully, I had it with me. And that Okidogi, it was amazing. But I think going into Toronto, there was a lot of speculation of myself sort of playing to my strengths, and I've been able to get top 32 before, so I think it was in Lille this season where I was able to go essentially with a hard trick room in regulation set H, but sort of playing to my strengths. And I thought, okay, trick room's my strengths because I love pinning people in certain scenarios where, I'm able to make really good calls in terms of what reads they have to go for. So I was trying to find a way to be able to merge that a bit into the current meta, and Iron Crown, lo and behold, Psy Spam, enjoyer, clearly. And I just wanted to take it home, really, and find the right pieces for it. But this isn't, a composition that hasn't been explored before. But then again, the Okidogi, I think, is something that hasn't been utilized as much on this, though.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. Right? This concept is one that I feel like always is up and then it's down, and then it's up and then it's down. But good players consistently, I feel like, do well with this team. We're also seeing a lot of other top players like Federico Camporesi use this type of team as well. And I think one thing that you mentioned that I always tell everyone at home is that comfort is king. As someone myself who's been playing the game for a while, but really had my breakout last season, it was really committing to myself, not what's the strongest objectively, not what all the creators are making YouTube videos about, even though we're making this video. It's more about what feels like me and how can I use that in a mixture. I say if you can combine fun with proof of concept that's working, and then with your own history, you put that triangle together, good things will happen. And that happened for you right now. And again, I would love to hear a bit. I know you mentioned you had the Psy Spam hard trick room team in the last format, but I'm really curious with this team, what's the story here? Like, how do we get to these 6 Pokemon? You can go one by one, you can go a big picture. I just want to know how you got to this 6, especially that poison dog you got over there, man.
Yeah, I mean, so it actually started really about thinking of the core, female and Didi, Iron Crown, obviously Sai Spam. I think that's sort of what I wanted to focus on as a first pillar and say, right, they work really well. I think they're the best combo, at least in terms of, outside of a hard trick room scenario. They've got to be on the team. Now, Iron Crown, I feel to an extent is underexplored, although back in the 24 season, so like a oh my lord, I'm forgetting the name of the regulation.
Reg C.
Yeah, I think so. But basically, it was the first iteration of this version, right?
Yeah.
And we saw a couple of really good players go and pick up some titles. But I think it was in Reg G, but it was in a restricted format where Iron Crown was able to essentially act as a sort of pivot in order to say, right, it's a matchup check. If you don't have something for Sai Spam, and let's say you've got like Paridon stuff in check, then you could sort of alter it a bit and take advantage of it. So I was just trying to do it some, I don't know, respect in terms of being able to print it. But then it was sort of trying to break balance. And how do you do that when you've got Pokemon such as Raging Bolt, you've got Pokemon which have Snarl and Dark types everywhere. You need to be able to have some sort of resist, some sort of way to be able to hit them very powerfully on the physical side and be flexible in terms of having more utility stuff. So then I was trying to find stuff that, would be able to stand in front of Fake Out, in front of Intimidate, and also be able to threaten fairy types super effectively, preferably. And of course, Okidogi came to the door and knocked on my bell, and I said, "Hey, we should go for a walk together."
Yeah.
And AV I think is probably the best set when it comes to Okidogi at the moment.
I think it's the only one we're really seeing right now.
Yeah, I know there's some like bulk up stuff or whatnot, but like it's so niche, and I don't think there's a way for you to be able to set up appropriately unless because there are other better Pokemon to be able to utilize when it comes to setup.
We're not seeing physical setup right now. If you look at like Iron Hands, Annihilate, Okidogi, even like the Ogerpon may be the only one that is. And it's only because it has priority. Like none of the non-priority ones are really doing that. So I know what you mean.
Yeah, exactly that. So I was just trying to find a way to be able to have an immediate impact on the field the moment it's there. And Okidogi, I think, has just got so much great utility to it. It's able to threaten some really big KOs. So like there's a Terra Fairy, Raging Bolt that, dependent on the build, it actually has a good chance to pick up a one-shot. Wow. I mean, it's already confirmed on Guard Dog if you get the +1 because of Intimidate.
And your max attack adamant. Like you have all the investment here.
Exactly. So, and it was just sort of trying to figure out the speed tiering of it. So then I was thinking, okay, Okidogi is a great way to be able to sit in front of balance and say, right, I've got different options to be able to capitalize off of. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I may have actually changed. So Okidogi, the close combat, this is an old pace because I changed it very last minute. It's upper hand instead. So it used to be close combat because I'd be able to threaten even more damage. But then I thought, okay, utility-wise, I want to actually be able to go ahead and force certain scenarios. Yeah, upper hand. So when it comes to upper hand, it's actually completely underutilized. It's got +3 priority in terms of the priority bracket. And in other words, if you've got enough speed with your Okidogi against the average speed fake out users, you will actually stop their fake out immediately. So like the Incineroars of the world, the Rillabooms of the world, and there are a couple of niche Pokemon that are going to be faster, but Celebi, I don't mind too much about it.
Yeah. I mean, we're not worried about Sneasler right now, right?
No, exactly.
I think something that's cool about Okidogi, as you look at it as like what you're saying is your mon number 3, is that Iron Crown and Didi, and you're saying in balance, are commonly trying to be stopped by that Terra Fairy, Assault Vest, Raging Bolt, or by that Incineroar, by that Rillaboom. This Okidogi kind of dunks on all 3 of them.
That's the idea.
Which I think is really cool. And yeah, man. So going from there, like, so you have these 3 now. What was number 4? How did you continue building off this idea?
So I was looking at the speed stat of Okidogi, and as well as Iron Crown, I'm just like, okay, cool. They need some support in terms of speeding. And of course, I had to look at Tornadus. It's just one of the best prankster Pokemon to have ever been created, but especially in this format, it just flows so well. And, Covert Cloak was not my initial option. It originally used to be Rocky Helmet, and then I had to sort of swap things around because Female and Didi was actually Goggles originally. So Tornadus, Covert Cloak means that I don't need to care about any sort of fake outs. So if, let's say, I lead with an Okidogi and Tornadus, I'm at a point where, okay, Tornadus just sets up for free. It's fine, because the main focus and role is to be able to get set up of the speed. But Okidogi, if there's a Intimidate that's incurred, most notably being a, I don't know, Incineroar, then I'm able to get around that and, you know, take the one turn flinch essentially. And that's not too much of a problem. So Tornadus had to naturally go in there, and Icy Wind is sort of a consideration in terms of, I would say, finding good enough Pokemon to be able to capitalize off of the offensive side of it. Because like if you're Icy Wind, for example, you want to be able to just go ahead and, let's say, have the Okidogi be at a set enough, good enough speed to be able to capitalize off of it if there's taunt abusers on the other side of the field. So that's why I went for Terra Dark, because I wanted to sort of force mind games. If there's, for whatever reason, other Tornadus that either speed tie with me, there's a random stray Whimsicott that has taunt and can outspeed me. So yeah, that was the idea with that Pokemon in particular.
Yeah, no, I think it's really cool. And I think the thing about it that I like is, you know, because you're running that Covert Cloak, you're allowed to, you don't necessarily need Protect as much. Having Weather as well to slow down, like even like Iron Crown, Indeedee, Okidogi, like maybe a well-positioned, you know, like Urshifu or something like that can be tricky. So that's number 4. And then I'm looking at the last 2 partners, and they just make so much, especially one of them with this Rain Dance Tornadus. So I'm assuming that one's next, but maybe I'm wrong.
It is. It 100% is. It's got to be. So, of course, Urshifu, Rapid Strike, one of the most busted Pokemon to have ever been introduced into VGC entirely. I've got to use it. You got to use, like, there's some Pokemon you have to use. If they're available and you want to be able to do well and get successful results, you've got to use them, unless you found something game-breaking. Fair enough. But yeah, Urshifu, I was contemplating the item. I was 50-50 between Scarf and the Sash. The Sash is just because I didn't, A, have it available anywhere else, but B, I wanted to be able to max out both the speed as well as the offensive damage, which is sort of why I opted for, you know, just the classic sort of spread there. There's no need to be creative when it's just
on a Sash mon, it's easy to just
exactly, just chuck it all the way there. But the thing about this Urshifu was trying to sort of figure out other matchups that at the minute my fast mode or my base mode would have issues with and struggle against, and that would be predominantly Trick Room stuff. So that's where, for example, Urshifu Rapid Strike, I was like, okay, it does get taunt. And do I really need Aqua Jet if I find scenarios where I'm bringing both the Urshifu and the female Indeedee and I'm not Scarf? So I thought, okay, that could actually be quite well going into, let's say, Incineroar P2. I could lead with Okidogi, Urshifu Rapid Strike, force a mind game between Fake Out onto the Incineroar versus my upper hand to block the Fake Out, and then just taunt the P2.
Even having Indeedee in the back as well to stop Fake Out. And I think like one thing that I liked about your Urshifu is that looking at your team, you know, you have ways to like try to slow down Amoonguss, but Amoonguss is a little bit tricky. You don't have any natural spore resists. So being able to have that taunt is really just awesome, because like Amoonguss has to worry about dying, of course, to Bleak Wind and Expanding Course. Even if they Terra, they can't just Terra Spore. You know, they have a taunt there as well, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, 100%. And that's sort of one of the nice ways to be able to capitalize off of like multi-role compression, because it's not just there to do the damage. It's there to also disrupt, which is, you know, multi-role compression is so important when it comes to really utilizing and taking advantage of the most that you can from your team and just get as much juice as you can.
1000%. And even the Focus Sash, Adamant, Urshifu Rapid Strike, I use that myself personally. Last in Regulation I made like a top 8 in Milwaukee, and then 2 day 2s in NAIC and Portland, also with taunt. Because stuff like I was starting Ghost because it's like I didn't have an Indeedee, but I think it's a really good way to like again slow down those trick like Lunala, for example. You don't want to just taunt the Lunala; they can't wide guard or trick rooms. Like I think even on this team, like there's a lot of things you enjoy slowing down, like parting shots. You know, Calm Minds, Spores. I love it. And then last but not least, you have Lando. The one thing I definitely noticed is you got a lot of speed on your guys. And going and hitting. You're boom, 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 boom.
That's it.
Yeah.
If you haven't realized already, I'm clearly a hyper offensive playstyle player to the
there you go.
Landorus was a bit tricky because it was sort of the battle between timid and modest. And to the build-up of it, I was modest, but then I was just thinking about certain matchups that caused me a bit more headaches in terms of, let's say, I don't know, like the Ogre Ponds, Water Pond in particular, so the Wellspring Mask, and that sort of trending in terms of the different sets and investment and speed. And I wanted to be able to at least double up with it, force a Terra scenario out of it, where it's not going to expect my Lando to be faster because they're all sort of trained to be able to outspeed.
Yes,
that's it, exactly. Yeah. So it's just trying to get the surprise factor on my opponent. I think I got it a couple of times where they just sort of like looked up and they're like, why did that move first? That doesn't make sense. And I'm like, well, and that is the point. But yeah, so Landorus is sort of there to be able to deal with the heavy electric type Pokemon, obviously looking at you, Bolt. And if for whatever reason I'm in an awkward spot where it's like a Snarl variant, which naturally, as you can tell, because of the Iron Crown and Female and Deity core, it causes quite a few issues. But yeah, so and there could have been an argument to be able to go for the substitute, but I just thought Sandsear Storm, I've got Rain Dance and Merciful Rapid Strike. I got to do it. It makes the most sense. And since
it's so strong, man. Like Rain Dance, like if you have Rain Up and you're clicking this Bleak Wind Sandsear, like you're just nuking things, and you're just it's a great dual typing. Like nothing eats that. Nothing safely eats that. So it's great.
Yeah. 100%.
And song or something.
Hey, I mean, so you say that, and I did consider it because I was like, oh, I kind of get walled against Bronzong. Oh no, if it's like the Terra, sort of like weird Terra or something like that. But no, I mean, it's just sort of there, like we said, to be able to sort of check a couple of Pokemon and just deal the damage, do the thing, click the KO button.
Man.
But and sort of with the Iron Crown, something that I didn't cover before is the fact that it's got modest nature but max speed invest.
So tell me about that.
Yeah, the important thing around that is the fact that you can essentially go ahead and outspeed all of the max speed, let's say Adamant Urshifus and the 149s, for example. So like the Golden Goes, they max speed at level 50 to 149. You're able to outspeed them, and sort of acts as a good way to be able to check that speed tier, which is actually heavily contended with all sorts of meta-relevant
Landorus,
exactly. So it's just a great way to be able to check them by having the 150.
What's the 150? Exactly 150?
Exactly 150 at modest. So, and that still allows you to be able to get the special attack booster energy.
And I think that's really cool too, because being able to have that kind of knowing where you are, and then also having Tailwind that lets you like really just do a lot of damage, but not need it in certain positions, which I think is like good for you to always like know, like again, like having that understanding is so helpful. And looking at these spreads, I mean, like the cool thing is a lot of them like Landorus, Crown, and Urshifu seem relatively straightforward, except like the nature here. But are there any sets here that you feel like you want to share with the audience? Certain things that you feel like, oh, this does this? Because I think a lot of people at home would want to know, like, oh, like, why is it built that way? I know you mentioned Okidogi's like speed as well. If there's any specific, maybe there's a bulk in Tornadus, or not that there has to be, more along the lines of so someone at home can know in this situation this does this, or this is a cool little like I know you mentioned it with the Crown, but another cool little widget that would help with the team.
Yeah, 100%. So the Tornadus, I've put in enough investment to be able to survive, I think, 50 or 75% of the time, a Mystic Water Urshifu Rapid Strike. Surging. But I didn't want to be able to sort of let go of too much of the offensive side because I needed to make sure I'd get some very crucial 2-hit KOs. So like on the Ogre Ponds, for example, and then I could put them within range of either, I don't know, like the Okidogi, Urshifu, Iron Crown, you name it. You just all the hitters. Yeah, literally. So it's sort of there. So what we're talking about, the multi-role compression, you need to be able to have it be the most efficient in surviving certain hits, deal enough damage that it needs to, alongside all of its support via the speed and weather method. So I would probably say, and we'll go into more details about it, this came out to be quite crucial in certain matchups, but there could have been a case of maybe even investing a bit more defense to be able to improve a couple of those odds, because I think I did get unfortunate on a couple of them too. But
yeah, no, that makes sense. I think one thing I always say, I have a new team building series. I think we're on episode 3 coming up. But one thing I always say is, I think, as you said, the 3 most important things are moving first, living hits, and then doing damage. Moving first inherently means that over the course of the game never ends when all 4 Pokemon have moved. Meaning, you going first, which is why you have Tailwind, which is why you have speed investment. Like, that's the most valuable thing. Extra turns mean extra wins. Second thing is living. You can always calc to live something, but you can never calc to always KO something. Because you can go max adamant on all your Pokemon or max modest, and people can calc all of the Pokemon to live all of those hits, right? So I think that's something where, again, you live to see another day and you move first, then again, those are extra turns. That's you winning damage trades. And I think killing things is nice. However, again, because you know that they can like be calced to live certain things, it to me is on the 3rd tier of what it is. However, you can't just have no attack investments. You have to be able to still, with your pieces, win that. So I think, as you said, like roll compression, like that's how I look at it in terms of like the roles of like action. So I think it's cool you mentioned that as well. So we kind of look at it similarly there. I guess the last question about the actual teammates, is there anything you would change going forward? Any spreads that you would update, because I know you're not competing in EUIC, but maybe someone watching this is going, and we got the last minute registration, which was like yesterday, that came up, and they're going now. They're like, I want to use side spam. I love the Okidogi. Like, what changes would you make, you think, to give yourself an even higher chance to maybe do better?
So, I did compete at Birmingham the week straight after Toronto.
Oh, did not know that. Okay, tell me about that.
Yeah, well, it did not go as well as Toronto, but I did introduce a couple of changes, which I feel like I didn't live up to what I should have resulted with this team. It was more so, it was sort of the updated one. It was more so the pilot that was at fault rather than the team itself. Now, with the Okidogi, if we're just going to focus on these 6 Pokemon, the things I would change would be Iron Crown in terms of the Terra option and the Terra Blast. So, not a lot of people are on this fad yet, but I feel like they might be with AUIC. Iron Crown with Terra Psychic, Calm Mind.
That shit is good.
It's really good. Ethan Trejo was able to get top 16 at Toronto, but Ethan went for the speed aspect of Booster Energy. I would recommend the special attack.
Okay, tell me why.
So you've got an additional multiplier. You've got the equivalent of a Life Orb, whilst being able to get Calm Mind set up, whilst being able to have Psychic Terrain, whilst being able to have the Terra Psychic. And if you can combo those 4 things with a Helping Hand, you can start picking up one-shots on AV Raging Bolts, on Golden Goes, which are invested in bulk. You can Psychic Seed, female in DD, can go as well. I'm completely on the train of thought that Iron Crown, there's this extreme hyper offensive set that hasn't been utilized yet, and I think this team would do really well because of the different pieces that are there. So that's what would be the Iron Crown for me, because Terra Water, it just didn't end up coming out to be so useful, at least in my matchups. Because it's sort of there could be a case of going for Terra Fighting in order for you to be able to hit the dark types and such, but I just feel like it, for example, the Goldtress matchup, that's just a bit horrendous. You might as well sort of like give up on the Terra Water adaptation and go full max damage in terms of being able to upset certain calcs that people aren't aware of, and you can capitalize off of picking up some very, very ridiculous KOs.
Yeah, and I think that's cool too, because if someone saw the team and they saw that it was a Calm Mind and Psychic Crown, they might just assume that it would be booster speed, which could completely change how they play the matchup as well, which gives you that advantage in the team preview, at least for game 1. So I think that makes sense. And also, it's like, I agree with you that multiplier is kind of like the whole Fluttermane, Choice Specs, Terra Fairy, and the Sun. Like it reminds me exactly of that, right? So I think that's really cool. Any other changes? Any of the other 5 you feel like, whether it's spreads or moves or terras or any items or anything like that, or you feel like the other 5 kind of are good as they are?
I feel like at least with this, like not switching out Pokemon, it would probably be this 6. Landorus, I would go for Modest because it did come out quite crucial in one of the matchups. I'm not going to cover it just yet since we're going to cover it after. But I would just say, because I've got the additional speed sort of support, it didn't come out as useful in certain matchups where I felt like maybe it's a bit awkward for me to bring the Tornadus, or I think Tailwind is going to expire and then Lando can clean up endgame. So I would probably say just stick with Modest because there could be some certain calcs that you'll miss. Okidogi, I genuinely would not change this. I think the only thing I would change is the Terra, and it's currently Terra Grass for the Amoonguss sort of Spore, Rage Powder, shenanigans stuff. But I feel like the Terra Water might actually be more better in terms of being able to essentially resist and get rid of any weaknesses. So, like, let's say to the flying types, Tornadus on the other side of the field, they were just clicking Bleak Wind.
True.
Which did prove to be a bit annoying. But yeah, I'd probably say Terra Water or maybe even Dragon could be a shout, depending on what sort of matchup
as well.
Yeah, you're trying to patch up. The Ursh, genuinely, I think I would probably keep it the same, just because if you don't have the Ursh in the Trick Room matchup, it could be quite awkward. Now, obviously, there's the female Indeedee, and you're like, okay, well, you just reverse the Trick Room. It's like, yeah, I've been down that path before. You've got multiple flip coin scenarios going on. Who sets up Trick Room? Who doesn't? And should I now? Do I get swept if I set up Trick Room? And blah blah blah.
I hate when you set it up for them. It's the worst.
Yeah, it is, because you just shot yourself in the foot, and in such a bad way.
In the face.
Pretty much. It's just so detrimental sometimes. But I think the 4 moves on female Indeedee would probably stay. The reason why I've got IVs around 15 speed is because of other Indeedees and any other Pokemon that don't hit the 105 speed level 50 mark. Reason behind that is Rillaboons. If they're not going to be invested, they're probably going to be 105 in terms of their speed. You want 104. So I think that would be the best. So this IV is 15, but I'll probably recommend 29 IVs to be able to just hit that mark. And then if you have at least 103 or 104 at level 50 speed, then in Tailwind, you're able to sort of out
Chin Pow, the 104 is really nice.
That's it. Exactly. So, and you break your sash, you don't need to worry too much. You've got Psych Terrain. So even if it tries to go for, Ice Spinner, stuff like that, you're immediately threatening its sash.
And the Rocky Helmet. With the Rocky Helmet. Exactly.
Yeah,
man. And then last thing for changes, you mentioned if you would change any of the not changing any of the Pokemon. Would you change any Pokemon or no?
So my Birmingham team, I did change 2 Pokemon.
Wow. Okay. Tell me about it.
Yes. So it was the Landorus that I changed, and I swapped in a Regidrago.
Okay.
Now that was just because I wanted to be able to force the Terra Fairies out from the get-go. And it helped with certain matchups against, like, let's say, Pal, Knight, Gouging Fire stuff, where I sort of have the 50-50 of, okay, if they're going to leave with Gouging or Dragonite, they have to commit with a Terra or switch out or go defensive or whatever from turn 1 if I just lead with the Tornadus. Yeah, so, and I just felt like, and I think Justin Tang was also running a similar-esque team. At least not the Iron Crown mode. He had like the Rillaboom, and I think
Corn, Golden Drago, and I think it was not Lando. Maybe it was Lando or Urshifu.
Maybe, Urshifu, that's it. So that was the one change. And in order to be able to, the reasons that I gave, but match that in terms of what I'm leaving, I wanted to be able to bring a Redirector, another one, because I was opting in for the Calm Mind Iron Crown set. So I was like, okay, well, what's better than 1 Redirector? Two Redirectors. And it allows me a better matchup against the Amoonguss stuff, so I could just follow me, redirect things, ignore it completely. I have that immediate offensive damage output that I could take advantage of. It's not like it's not a 6 that is new, but at least when it came to sort of what felt like the best way to be able to
evolution on your idea already. Like it's not just like, oh, if you're a 6 Pokemon, let me use this proof. It's like, oh, I know my team did good against. How can I try to make things better and push the envelope and do it my way, especially with the new Iron Crown? So it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it was a great adaptation. It meant that I wasn't as scared against the Goltresses of the world, and I was able to survive Surging Strikes. I think I was able to just barely survive the Mystic Water because I had put enough investment defensively to be able to do it. So it was just, once again, the point that we've been making, role compression, why it's so important, because it gives you certain buffer points where you're able to sponge up certain matchups just because you've got that line already established in terms of what needs to be done. And you just, on the flip of a dime, go offensive.
It's true. Again, Mike, that's why I think Ogerpon is such a cool Pokemon, especially when you have like Tailwind and stuff, because you can follow me, it can Spiky Shield in that way, but also just be a freaking nuke. And I think that's really cool. Yeah. So
100%.
So yeah, man. I mean, the team is great. I mean, going and see, I'm kind of curious. And the guys, let me know in the comments what you think about the team, or if you want it. I'm gonna put the link if you haven't got it already in the description. But if you guys want a 30-day challenge to where you can use this right now to prep for tournaments like Seattle, Houston, tournaments in Europe, or even EYC in the next 2 weeks, comment the word badge challenge, and I'll send you a 30-day challenge, completely free with a calendar and everything. So you guys, I don't care how busy you are, it'll be less than an hour a day to evolve you as a player. Let me know. Comment the word badge right now, and comment the GOAT in the comments for my boy Kosta. Comment the GOAT for my boy Kosta right here.
Right back at you.
But yeah, man. So just continuing off of this idea, I mean, I think you told a great story about the team. I think it's very clear, very consistent. It makes sense. I think I'm glad you shared your changes you made as well, because I'm curious. Like, do you think this first version is better than the second version or no?
Mate, if I'm completely honest, I think the second version's better. I'm not even trying to take away from this first version because I think at the time it was amazing. Like, the only thing that would have been better for me with this first version was if I had Modest on Lando, and I would probably say Iron Crown, Calm Mind, and maybe like a Terra Steel on Tornadus, maybe. But like, if I had those already with these 6, I think I would have done even better, to be completely honest.
Yeah, no, guys, it's great. And again, like, if you're watching this, take that note down, and I'll also send the other link. If you can send me the other link as well, I'll put that in the chat as well, if you are sharing that one. But cool. So now I want to talk about this run. So looking at this here, you kicked ass, man. You went 6-2 day 2, and then went on to beat maybe the best player in the world in day 2, and really got all the way to your winning in for Top Cut, where you again pulled that nightmare matchup you were kind of talking about earlier. So what I kind of want to do for this part is just talk about the rounds. And if you want to go in depth into how you beat it, go for it. If you want to talk about the matchups and how people at home can beat it, go for it. You don't have to go as in depth. You don't have to go super in depth for every single one, but if you want to, this is your place to do so. So, number 1, Garrett Wilson. All these Jets fans, they didn't know he's a football player too, but Garrett Wilson, man.
So Garrett, lovely guy. So I looked at the team sheet and what I was doing. So I have a sort of a small team building group with fellow Greeks, because I'm Greek Australian, but I'm one of the community heads of the Greek VGC community, blah, blah, blah. Point is that we're having talks, and I was saying to them, Goltress with sort of balance stuff, like especially this composition, is probably my worst matchup. And I remember them posting memes and saying, Goltress, who uses Goltress? And I was like, it kind of did win like a grassroots. And they're like, nah, it's not going to pop off. And I'm like, watch me go up against it first thing of the day. And what do I see in front of my face? A bloody Goltress. Like, with the worst, this is the worst matchup. There's just so much going wrong because of the Goltress. It's specs. It just directly threatens everything pretty much on my team. And you've got the Flutter, defense, support sort of
Assault
booster.
Vest, Raging Bolt.
Yeah, Assault Vest, Raging Bolt, which doesn't have Snarl, but obviously it's because the Goltress does, right? So I go into this matchup and I'm like, okay, cool. This is a beautiful way to start. What do I need to do? I need to leave Iron Crown and DD at home, and they need to try to go with just pure damage, break down the core that they lead with. Their best lead would have been the Raging Bolt and the Ogerpon Wellspring. I don't think my opponent led with that just yet. They led with Fluttermane Goltress. That's the other lead that people usually go with. And I think Dorian did later on in this matchup. And it really, so because the matchup is so bad, you need to win the read on turn 1. If you read the correct play and you execute it, you will psychologically push your opponent back to the point where they're like, oh, wait a second, they're going full offensive. I didn't expect this because all I could do is just go, you disrupt this and that. So I have to lead with either the Torn Dogi or the Torn Urshifu. And that depends on which Pokemon I'm expecting to come out. If it's Ogerpon Wellspring, I usually try to go for the Dogi for me to be able to threaten it and maybe force a Terra straight away. And if I'm expecting the Fluttermane Moltres, then I go for the Urshifu, because then there's the situation of it being, I think, multiple 50-50 flips where you've got the Ogerpon Wellspring. So if you lead with the Urshifu, they could easily bring the Wellspring, but which slot do they bring it in? And they could bring Bolt as well. It's like, okay, well, which slot are they going to bring it in?
And you don't want to take this Bleak Wind either, like, you know what I mean? So
that's it. Exactly. So, like, you need to go offensive from the get-go. The moment the floodgates open, you need to be at the front of the current. And that's essentially what I was able to do against Garrett in this matchup. I think they led, so they led with Moltres, Fluttermane. They went for T-Wave onto my Okidogi. I was able to break through, so not get fully paralyzed. I dealt, what was it? 80% onto the Fluttermane, but I had Tailwind set up. And then because of Covert Cloak, the Fluttermane can't go for Icy Wind. It's not going to be...
Same with Snarl,
Exactly. So I'm able to at least force a scenario where I'm going to be faster the following turn if my Tornado survives. And there's no T-Wave on it. And then I'm able to pick up the KO. So I just have to focus onto it. You can't switch the Ogerpon in. It would be awkward. The Bolt you can, but then the Moltres is stuck in a choice item. And all I need to do is just start chipping away at it, because the AV comes to be so crucial. But then obviously I am weak to flying types. So it's more so trying to make sure that you get rid of all of Moltres' friends. And
it's like playing against Calm Mind Raging Bolt. You either KO all the friends or you KO that thing first, and the friends fall apart. It's one of those like you have to be conscious of not splitting damage. You got to just commit to commit
to the slot, pick up the KO, start breaking away the resources available for them. So I was able to do that game 1 and game 2, if I'm not mistaken. So I was anticipating them to make the adaptation to what I thought was a stronger lead, Bolt, Ogerpon, Wellspring, and they did. So then I switched things up, and I think I went for Psy Spam straight from the get-go. So I was like, okay, the best way to break you two down now, especially because there's no Snarl on the Bolt, is Helping Hand, Expanding Force. Helping Hand, Expanding Force. Don't care. If there's a Goltress that comes in, just focus on trying to get rid of all of its friends. And I don't think the Goltress was brought because of... Exactly. Because it was just not able to do as much. I may be misremembering, but at least that's what I've seen in the notes. So, yeah, it was sort of trying to get in your opponent's head because you've got your back against the wall. You need to be able to get the correct predicts. And I was able to do it. Somehow.
You win in game 1, it tells them like what they need to bring to be the 4 that you brought, but when you switch the 4 that you brought, their 4 that they're bringing are also less efficient. So winning game 1 applies a lot of pressure for you, which makes sense. So off to a nightmare matchup with dream start. So we're like, okay, if I can beat my bad matchup, then I'm gonna be good. Things again go a little off the hanger around too. So now
they do.
One of my very first opponents in my second ever regional, 5 years ago. Remember the name, but man. So tell me, so we've been seeing this kind of team a little bit. I think the only difference is we've seen a Amoonguss instead of the one of these. I think he was running the Ogerpon. We typically see a Amoonguss, but he also had a decent run. But tell me about this matchup here.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan was a great guy. I think he told me that he had flown all the way up from Vegas, if I'm not mistaken. So Vegas local, but, they're doing a really good job. He absolutely just smashed the matchup, in all honesty. Yeah. He led correctly with the Bolt Wellspring. The absolute worst Bolt set is the Snarl one for my team. So I don't think I was able to sort of get the read because he looked like he was so well practiced into the sort of hyper offensive side spam core stuff. I think I tried breaking down his team first with the Okidogi and Torn usual, which is like one of the crux leads that I go with. And then I think I tried also bringing the Landorus and Urshifu in the back. I sort of felt like, okay, because it's also a dark Fu, I'm in such a bad spot in terms of being able to bring Sai Spam, because if this was the calm mindset, at least when it comes to the Iron Crown, maybe there's more room to be had against the Golden Go, for example, and I could sort of disrupt stuff. But then again, Snarl is still there, right? So I need to lean on the rest of the team. And I tried doing that game one. I think he just absolutely forrowed me with the Bolt and the Wellspring, to be honest. He was very smart with the spiky shields and all that. And then game two, he definitely didn't bring the Bando Lando at all. I think it was just, once again, Bolt, Wellspring, and it was Torn Shifu. And I think I was able to lead with Lando, get a lot more pressure dealt onto the Bolt as well as the Ogerpon, whilst being able to get a bit of chip damage. But he did a good job. He committed once again with the Terra Water Pond both times, because you're able to get so much more
value and staying power.
Exactly. And I was able to, I think, bring them down, or at least one of them. But then I saw the Torn Shifu in the back. I was like, yeah, it's over. I just don't have enough resources. And he's played a really good game. So, you know, like, he did a really good job, to be honest.
It's just hard because with the Snarl, Terra Fairy, but also, like, when he Terra's Ogerpon, something about your team is that you don't have a way to hit super effective on grass. I mean, on water.
Water,
so it's a little bit tricky.
Yeah.
I guess if someone's trying to figure out that matchup right now at home, like, what would you recommend that they do, or that they can try to way to figure that maybe whether they're changing a team or a certain line, you think, or what do you think what home could try to do about that?
I think probably the Lando makes sense to try to either force a Terra out. Like, if it was modest Lando from my side, then I think I would have been able to have a lot more pressure dealt onto the Bolt in terms of forcing the Terra option. Yeah, it's just going to deal more damage. I think I dealt like, what was it, 70, 80 or something, 80% on it, because I was able to get a Sandseer off, but it didn't do as much as I needed to at the time. So I don't know. First of all, I'd say, you know, I hope you prayed to RN Jesus before and you get, I don't know, some cheeky crit or something like that. But you got to try to break down that core as much as possible. So maybe a Lando and some sort of offensive lead in terms of maybe even an Urshifu, and try to focus down on picking up a slot ASAP, even if, let's say, the Odor Wellspring does Terra, at least try to get rid of it, because it's most likely just going to be the Terra. I don't think they Terra anything else in this. They don't need to. Maybe the Bolt, but they're always going to lead with him. So you just need to, once again, break down as much as they can. Maybe that would be my change. Lando, Urshifu, just try to pick up a KO with Sludge Bomb.
Just nuke it earlier.
That's it. Nuke it early. Go for CC. Maybe Terra Stella as well, just to try to get rid of it. And then have the speed control in the back. Maybe escorted with maybe escorted with the, the Okidogi to be able to wipe.
Okidogi, or even if you go with the psychic mode, maybe like it also could work, because you'll have the Ndidi, I guess, that could mess with the Urshifu. Yeah, I mean, I think that's an interesting new approach to it, which I think is cool. Definitely winnable, which is a little harder upper hill climb.
It is.
So next we have Roaring Moon. This is very similar to Carrie. I think this is Carrie's same exact.
That's what I thought. I was like, okay, well, this is starting to look very interesting. Roaring Moon, once again, and generally, as you can tell.
Oh, this is his friend. This is Carrie's friend.
Oh, is it? Okay, all right.
Fair. Yeah, Team Bill, because Carrie's Amungus is nicknamed Moorhall.
Okay, well, there you go.
So there you go. Yeah.
All right, cool. So with this matchup, let me check my note. It was sort of trying to deter Roaring Moon Dango stuff, which is a bit awkward. But at the same time, there was some leeway. I needed to lead with Okidogi and just do Okidogi stuff. The Dango, I think, was led actually a couple of times with the Roaring Moon, because it's the Roaring Moon set that, you know, it's got the Tailwind set up and the good disruption in the form of Breaking Swipe. So In all honesty, I think I ended up winning this. I won both games actually. So I took a game 1 and a game 2.
Yeah.
It started off with me trying to lead yet again with a good old fashioned Torn Dogi and the Dango. Because I had knockoff, it was a mind game in terms of am I going to commit with the damage or not, and also is the Roaring Moon going to be faster enough to outspeed my Okidogi when I get my Prankster Tailwind set up.
Yeah.
And actually, they just tried to go for the Tailwind. They didn't anticipate me to be quite speedy in terms of the Okidogi. And because I got Prankster, I was able to actually one-shot the Dango, believe it or not, with knockoff.
Wow.
But, wait for it, it was a crit.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I know.
There's no way that KOs.
No, it shouldn't. So I got lucky. I absolutely got lucky there. And
man, we take you saw Moltres round 1, and then you saw 2 AV bolts. Okay,
I know
you're allowed a little bit of luck.
I should know better though, but it's fine. I was able to. I think at that point, just Landon wasn't able to have as much resource available, and I think they had ended up bringing the Moongus and the. I think it was the Shifu, actually. It was the Shifu, because that's sort of the good thing about Okidogi. It scares off the Incineroars, which works out so well for me. Yeah. And it sort of forces them to switch matchups. Actually, it wasn't a Moongus. It was the Lando. So they brought their own Lando. Okay. And I think we ended up in a scenario where Tailwind was ended, but I had the faster Lando, so I was able to get the Sludge Bomb onto it because they didn't have the Terra option at the time. Yeah. And I was able to win. So, nice. I picked that up with game 1. Game 2, believe it was the same lead, but instead of going for the Dango, because there was a Terra Fairy commit, I went for the Roaring Moon, and I was just able to deal some extremely good damage. Didn't pick up a KO, but it put it within the range where the Tornadus following turn with the Icy Wind.
Icy Wind and Bleak Wind, nice.
Exactly. So, and because the Terra Fairy was committed, and I still had my Dogi on the field, I get rid of the Moon. Yeah, I think it went for Break and Swipe, but all I needed to do was get one gunshot to confirm a 2-shot, even at -1, onto the Dango Terra Fairy, and then I was just able to break down the remainder. And I ended up bringing the Urshifu Rapid Strike in the back because of Sash. It's just a great way to be able to end
game. Break through it. You can't really break through it. Yeah, there's no way. So that was pretty clean, man. Pretty clean. I think again, like if you guys are watching right now at home, like the lead a lot of the times here in this matchup is the Torn Dogi, right? That's
true. That is true.
Cool. So now we're keeping it going, and again, we're switching the teams up a little bit now. Finally, this is again no more Lando. You played 3 different Landos as well.
I did.
Interesting. Yeah. Just some patterns I'm noticing. But now we're going against Sun. The concept that is a slightly varied one that we've seen this Fluttermane, Heat Rock, Twerkle, Lilligant, Wade, but we haven't seen it with Ogerpon Thunderous, which I think is interesting. So tell me more about this matchup and what this was like, because he had a pretty good start as well.
Yeah, and I think for Matthew, lovely person, I was probably their worst matchup because the fact that Lilligant does not have Sleep Powder just lets me do what I want. Yeah, I'm gonna be completely real. The Thunderous, what's it gonna do against Psy Spam, against Tailwind setup? The fact that I've got the Psychic Terrain,
he has no resist, and he has no resist to Psychic Terrain.
That's what I mean. No resists. There was Terra Dark on Thundy, which, fair enough, he brought. But what else was he doing? He didn't have Wild Bolt Storm to maybe threaten some
no Wild Bolt. No Wild Bolt.
Yeah. Like, what I've experimented with, because I have experimented with Thunderous, is Electric Terrain Thunderous to be able to get rid of opposing sort of terrain stuff and maybe set up a Pokemon on your side and, disrupt sleep, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but the fact that they had no matchup going into this, it just let me do stuff. I think they led with Lilycole. I led with Psy Spam, just raw, because at that point I was like, I'm not missing much. I think they had to commit with Close Combat into Ndidi, broke a Focus Sash. I was just Psy Spamming all day. And that's
a matchup check. As you were saying, like some matchups you're going to pull, it just runs it over, man.
No, literally, because all I needed to do was just bring the Tornadus in the back with the Shifu, and I've just got it locked up. I've got the 2-2 duo pairing where I'm able to check the total end game. I go for blind bolt storms, just pick up KOs. And then game 2, I think there was sort of an interaction where the Ogerpon tried to come onto the field as an adaptation, but then I think I led with the Torn Shifu.
Okay.
And I went for a clean rain dance and just was able to pick up the raw KO. And I think at that point, it was sort of mind games. Does he bring the Tortoise in or not? He opted not to bring it. And then I was like, okay, this is Torn Shifu at its finest. And I've got a sash, so I'm able to have extended longevity.
Fluttermane can't take you turn 1. Like, it's,
No, it's not booster. And it can't, if I get a Tailwind set up, and then I have Rain Dance set up, it's just absolutely over.
Sign the slip.
Literally, and and I felt bad, but at the same time, it's sort of what we're saying.
Like that's
it.
Yeah.
And Walking Wake was interesting though, and I think it was one of the key Pokemon to try to bring to this matchup. But it's sort of the fact that I did the reverse where I brought Torn Shifu in game 2 as a lead, and then I brought Spam in the back. So I just wanted to try to expend their Terra option initially from the early game. Walking Wake. Okay, it did sort of force me to try to consider going for close combat stuff, which I think I did, and I dealt like 70%, and then there was Life Orb Chip. But it's the fact that Spam quite literally just comes from the back and absolutely just
it over. Because all of his spread damage that he has, it can't really touch the Iron Crown that well. Especially if you're moving first, no matter what, or you have rain. So it's like, and you have a defensive Terra. So it's like I don't even know if he gets every turn right if he still can win with this matchup. It's that lopsided in my opinion.
I agree because and sort of I understand Matthew's adaptation on bringing the Hearth Flame, right? Because they saw me lead with Spam, but that's sort of what I'm saying is you need to be able to get either the turn 0 or turn 1, so turn 0 being
if you lead right.
Yeah, you're just able to go through, and me switching it up just meant that they didn't have room and they got the lead run. It was sort of like one game too late to make that adaptation with the Hearth Flame as a lead.
He's also figuring it out on the spot, right? So it's hard to find the right answer under the pressure sometimes.
Exactly.
And now you're 3-1. You're halfway there.
Yes.
Feeling good. I always say like 3-1 is the target right after 4 rounds. Obviously it's 4-0, but 3-1, you feel good. So now you're playing a former regional finalist, Mr. Nicholas Donnelly. I think he's like Justin Tang's best friend or something. They're very close. And he ended up bringing the same 6 as Justin. So they must have brought the same team together. And tell me about this one, because I'm sure you played this maybe. Like this is a big game as well. So what did this one look like?
It was. So Nick, great guy, fantastic player, in all honesty. I think it was
always does this on stream.
No, I know. It's like I didn't do it right before we played the match, but I was tempted to. But yeah, so it was sort of a battle of him leaning into the Torn Shifu on his side versus my Torn Dogi for game 1. And what I noticed in that matchup, because I was sort of anticipating maybe a Drago to try to be able to, just absolutely go ham on it, thinking from his side, he's never going to anticipate me bringing Spam straight away, because I'm just like, you've got a Rillaboom. You can easily just switch that in and just cause issues. So I was expecting a Drago just to be able to go for the raw damage. He didn't bring it. He did bring Torn Shifu, and it was probably the best lead. And he's clearly, checked out these lines as well going into my team. And he had Scarf Shifu. So that brings a couple of interesting points of contention in terms of, do I set up Tailwind straight away, or do I go on the offensive with either Icy Wind or Bleak Wind Storm? Because it's a Focus Sash Torn, so I need to be able to guarantee some damage onto it in order for my Pokemon in the back to be able to clean up. So I think he absolutely smashed it in that game 1. I did sort of buckle under the pressure of the Torn Shifu, because he just locked in with Terra Water. He went for the Tailwinds, the Bleak Winds, and I was like, there's not much to do. And the beauty of it is that it sort of showed that you don't necessarily always need Rain Dance. And if you've got Focus Sash, having a defensive move like Protect is actually quite nice.
Without Urshifu, they can't really get through all the time. And you might get a second Tailwind as well later.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and his 4 was always going to be the Torn Shifu, Rilla, Hearth Flame. Right?
Okay.
And that's sort of why approaching this matchup, it was so crucial into timing when to bring my Indeedee. and if I'm even going to bring the side spam sort of element to it, so that being the Iron Crown, or if I'm just going to utilize Ndidi as a disruptor to his terrain, because he's got a lot of stuff that put a lot of pressure on me. So yeah, he was able to absolutely wipe me game 1. Game 2, now he actually led with Ogerpon and Torn, whilst I led with the Urshifu and Torn. So I felt like, okay, I need to be able to match his damage output from turn 1. So best way to do that, bring my own Torn.
That's a nice lead. That's a nice lead too, because you have Sash. So even if he goes for like a Bleak Wind and he goes first, he can't. Even if he brings in Rilla for like a Grassy Glide, you're in a pretty good spot, I would say.
Exactly. And what I ended up doing is always safeguarding, bringing the DD in the back. But the sort of interaction of that scenario where I had the Ogerpon across from me is I could actually commit with the Rain Dance and just go for full offensive if I really want to. And I'm anticipating a switching, whether that being Rillaboom to be able to take all of the damage, or Ursh, just like you said. And I think I was able to get the first couple of turns right. And set up Rain Dance, pick up with Surging Strikes into the Hearth Flame. I put it just within range. It was so close. I think the rolls in this set were insanely close. They truly were, because like they had a lot of bulk in this Ogerpon, or at least that's how it felt. And I think because I was able to get rid of Hearth Flame earlier on, and because of the lead, I was then in a better position where I could bring my DD in, and just because I've got Rain Dance set up, I just don't care about the Rillaboom. I go for the other target. And if I get rid of the other target, I'm fine. Because I've got Rain set up, I was able to Bleak Wind as well.
Nice.
Now, game 3. This is where it was exceptionally dicey. We both led Torn Shifu. That was the most optimal adaptation we both identified. And obviously he brought it game 1, but he brought it back in game 3. Now, there were so many mind games when it's a Torn Shifu versus Torn Shifu. Who sets up Tailwind? Who goes for Bleak Wind? Who goes for Icy Wind? Who goes for which target with the Urshifu? Do you commit with the Terra Water or not? Or the Terra Stella in my case. And I think we both had to commit immediately to get rid of each other's Tornadus. And that is essentially what we did. However, he thought, and I think he had calced for the Tornadus to actually be able to survive a Terra... No, actually, without a Terra Water, my bad. Just a raw Surging Strikes he'd been able to. But it turns out he didn't, because we were talking about it after. I think there was some sort of mishap with the training. He felt like it should have survived, because I just went for a raw Surging Strikes, went for the Tailwind as he was trying to go for the Bleak Wind. And from the moment that he didn't set up the Tailwind, I didn't commit Terra Water, which is a misplay from my side. I should have committed. If I'm committed to going for that target, I need to commit with the Terra, because I just didn't want the awkward scenario where I don't have Terra available for my, my Iron Crown in the back, which I did actually bring, because it was an awkward interaction if I wanted to try to win with Sai Spam and Female Ndidi. So I got lucky by that roll, I think. I think it may have been, what was it? A 25%, 30% roll in my favor. So, I did get lucky from that. No, it's true, but at the same time, it's sort of like the commit as well, right? Like the different mind games on who.
If you're gonna go for it, go for it.
Exactly. So yeah, I should have just gone for Terra Water to guarantee it and not play around with calcs and stuff. But because he lost the Tornadus, he just wasn't able to bring it back. And then I went for Terra Stella Shifu into the Ogerpon Hearth Flame. I completely ignored the Urshifu on his side. And then I was just able to force the Rillaboom as the final mon, bring my Sai Spam, follow me, E-Force, win the game.
Nice, dude. Yeah, man. I think, like, again, luck happens for us and against us and across the whole tournament. Like, rolls are not, like, if you don't get a roll, that doesn't make you lucky or unlucky. It's just, like, it's a probability thing. Like, whereas, like, I think crit or something like that, or, like, missing, like, a high, I don't know. Rolls are interesting because it does obviously suck to get like low, like him, like to get low roll, you get high roll. But at the same time, it's like then you should have just low key calced it to that. Like, like you know what I mean? Like what I always say is whenever I do, like, so I have a couple of coaching groups And when I'm doing my groups, I'm always like, my number one rule is like always live the stuff, or like make it like really low percentage. Like 25% to me is like Fisher. Like as much as Fisher or getting full pair, like as much as like you think it's not going to happen, there's a really good chance it happens. Like, and, and in my head, it's like at my number one rule for like every calc is like make it less than 10%. If you want to really say you got low roll, make it less than 10%. Like that's my personal belief. But yeah, I mean, hey, that's a dub for you, man. That's a dub. So now we're 4-1. Now we're cooking. And again, now we got Mayuko Uno, Mayuki Uno.
Yeah. So
I can't even speak. Mayuki Kuno. Okay.
Yeah, so Mayuki, it was an interesting team where I was just initially looking and trying to figure out what kind of matchup advantage or disadvantage I have, because I'm like, okay, I sort of understandably don't like looking at Wellspring and Bolt, but it's not a V-Bolt, it's Calm Mind. So I've got a bit more leeway, especially because it's Thunderclap and Dragon Pulse with my Iron Crown, because I'm like, okay, cool.
Your Fairy and DD, like, can't touch it.
Exactly, literally. I just always redirect the Thunderclap, so it literally cannot touch my side. So the win condition here is if they do end up bringing the Bolt, I need to make sure my female Ndidi is always available to be able to just lock that up. So that means I need to get rid of the Rilla. That means I need to at least get rid of the gouging if it is brought in terms of how much pressure or support it can offer. But yeah. Those were the main initial stuff going into it. Game one, I think Miyuki, and this isn't the first time that I lost a game one. At this point, I think there were quite a few times where I'd lost game one, but I was somehow able to sort of find the mental space and I don't know, like not motivation, but the push to be able to not give up and just say, okay, well, that went horribly. What can I do to try to change that? And is there a case where my opponent tries to change the change up or blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to game one, it was sort of the scenario where they had to lead with the Lando Pawn because it sort of acts as a good way to be able to outspeed my Iron Crown if I want to try to bring it alongside, let's say, not necessarily the Ndidi straight away, but I don't know, against, a Torn setup and then wait for the Ndidi to come in and start threatening with spread damage. So point there is they led Waterpon and Lando. I led with Torn Dogi because I feel like Dogi, it's just got a lot going for itself in this matchup, in all honesty.
And Torn, like, when they don't bring gouging or bolt, like, you get to click Bleak Wind for free. Like,
exactly.
Which is really nice.
Yeah, and you force the Icy Wind scenario stuff. So let's say, for example, if I'm able to get Icy Wind connecting onto Lando because they don't have immediate like Tailwind or they don't have a booster Bolt Flutter Mane, you're not able to get speed advantage. So that means it's in my favor.
I agree. It looks really good. And I think there's a credit as well to what you're saying in terms of the mental. Like, you did already miss tournament, like losing game one. I think it was against Jordan, you said, or someone, not Jordan, someone else. Against, was it Land? Someone you lost to game one earlier.
Maybe it was Jordan. It was Jordan. It was the first set, I think.
Yeah. Or first set. Yeah, you lost one of your game ones, and you did win the rest. I think even for me, like, connecting to what you were saying, was in my top 8 run in Milwaukee. My entire day 2 Swiss, I lost every single game one. Like, so I had to win 4 matches in a row in day 2 without being able to lose.
Yeah,
and I lost every game one. And not to like toot my own horn, but it's more of like, you can do it. Like, you can lose one game like to bad luck or bad play, but if you can figure it out, like game one is the like the test game. Like, can I win and learn both in the same game?
Right.
And then if you're the better player or you have the better matchup, then in the next games, in theory, you should be able to pull it out. So that's what you did, man. So and then tell me more. So then how'd you wrap this guy up?
So game one, I definitely lost. I think they just did a really good job in being able to play around with the terrain. And I don't even think Bolt was brought, actually. I think it was King Gambit. And it was sort of to the point where I'd already lost my Waterfu, so I couldn't do much there. It was just able to do a really good job. Game two, he brought Rilla Lando into my Torn and my Waterfu. So I was able to have Urshifu essentially available there. And because that scenario, it was quite tedious because do they commit with the fake out?
Yeah.
or not, because I've got female Ndidi in the back, right?
Yep.
So that came down to me just hard reading they're going to switch out the Rilla or pivot or just basically not go for fake out.
Yeah.
I went for the, what was it? It was the Tailwind, Terra, Stella, Surging Strikes into Lando. And I was able to pick it off essentially.
Yeah, huge,
and then,
huge.
yeah, and then there was a U-turn play. Oh, wait, no, there's no U-turn. That's right. It was just raw damage of breaking my sash that the Rillaboom was trying to go for into my Urshifu. But the fact,
or Grassy Glide or something.
Yeah. I think they committed to Woodhammer. Because I picked off the Lando straight from the get-go, sure, I'm going to get brought down to my 1 HP, but that's the beauty of Sash, right? That sort of opened up my play where I was going to be able to play a bit more with the terrain stuff. And now that I've got the speed advantage, I don't really need to care on what comes out. I just need to hit hard. And then I think I was just committing with CC, Terra Stella into Rillaboom. I think I just missed the KO. And sure. Oh, no, actually, I lied. Because of the Woodhammer chip, I was able to actually pick up the KO.
Yeah, it sounds like you were KO. It sounds like I was like,
yeah. Because I hard switched my Tornadus since I had already set up Tailwind into my female Ndidi. That's it. And I just picked off the Rillaboom, and all of a sudden, Mayuki just had 2 Pokemon left, right?
Yeah.
And then I did bring the Okidogi in the back, but I don't think I revealed it in game 2. And game 3 was so drawn out. I think I probably blacked out in terms of the memory of what was going on.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, because there was just so many board position plays between the both of us where there was a lot of reliance on the King Gambit from his side and the Gouging Fire, which he completely changed it up in that game 3. And I was like, okay, this is a bit awkward because I ended up leading with Okidogi again. And I think he was able to get a breaking swipe onto my Okidogi, but because Okidogi is an absolute champ and King Gambit didn't commit with the Terra Dragon, I was able to pick up the one shot. And I was like, wait, what? What is the role of this? This doesn't make sense. But, you know, King Gambit already going in the first couple of turns was pretty huge.
Insane mileage you get. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, because like
damage and then attack drop. Like
exactly. It was just like, and at that point I thought, okay, he's definitely got the dodge in him. Like he's just going so hard. And he needed to do the stuff that I needed to. So that was, even though I wasn't dealing as much damage to, let's say, the Ogerpons and the Rillabooms that came out afterwards, I was able to deal enough damage where once again, my end game sweepers would be able to pick up and deal, you know, do the thing essentially. And that was the size spam. So I did end up bringing Iron Crown.
Nice.
With Ndidi in the back, but it was just sort of try to clear the board for the anti-size spam in order for you to bring the size spam, because it was tricky bringing size spam into King Gambit. And I thought, okay,
it's still in Water Pond,
right, because I was thinking he could anticipate me at least leading with the Iron Crown for whatever reason and bring the King Gambit as an initial check. But the fact that he didn't preserve, I think he was trying to preserve it with a couple of switch outs, but we reached the point where King Gambit was just exposed. And I picked up the KO when I needed to, and it just opened up the game to be wrapped up essentially with.
It sounds like to me like if you take up a KO early, it's really like, and you still have your mons, like it's a snowball. That's what it is. So you're playing another one of the Tang Bros. I guess we call them, like Keanu Inasanto, also a really cool guy. I talked to him a couple.
Great guy.
Smashed it as well. So same record as you, I think top 32 looks like here. But again, so first time you beat it, this time you didn't. So what do you think happened this time around?
So this was a game 3 set where, you know, it was basically get the Torn Shifu turn 1 correct. That was it. It was literally down to that. I'm not even kidding. Between the both of us. Checking my stats, he was able to win game 1 because I think I committed with trying to go for the Torn. He committed with the Torn as well. So he went for Terra Water. I went for Terra Water. We both picked up each other's Tornadus. Cool. Then it was sort of the battle of when do you bring the Rillaboom in, and if you've also brought the Dango. And I think he brought the Dango. I brought my... what was it? It was my it was my Iron Crown, and it was just trying to chip things away to be able to bring my Ndidi in at the right time once, let's say, the Rillaboom's out of the way. And
it's hard because his Urshifu goes first, so even the crown,
Exactly.
he can just go for the water surging again into the crown.
It's a bit awkward because of the scarf, but it's also trying to take advantage of the commit as well. And because I've got female Ndidi as a redirector with Rocky Helmet, if I've got the scarf Shifu on the other side of the field locked in, I'm at least going to guarantee, 48% damage onto itself because of the Rocky Helmet 1/16 stuff. So it was sort of trying to preserve it and bringing it in at the right time. And sort of,
yeah, it's like make it hit the. It's like kind of like get him to click the wrong slot and KO with the other mon.
Basically, and then try to take advantage of that with the redirector. But then sort of that meant I had to forfeit my terrain control where the Rillaboom will have it, although I'm threatening the stuff. So then you go into mind games of, okay, do I now switch the Ndidi out for my Iron Crown? What goes into it? Is it a grass type? Can I resist? Cool. If not, whatever. But basically, long story short, I think I brought him to the point where I had Psych Terrain, I had my Iron Crown out, and the Dango was out, but my Helping Hand Expanding Force at around 80% or 70% wasn't enough because I think there was a bit more bulk in the Dango, and I just barely missed the KO. I think it survived on like a slither of health or something like that, and I wasn't able to win it back there because he had a free switch to be able to take advantage of and get rid of my terrain. But game 2, I think it came down to who's going to commit with Tailwind and who's going to commit with the attack moves. Once again, Torn Shifu. I think I committed with the Tailwind, and he didn't because he wanted to get rid of my Sash. And I was able to just focus, get rid of the Torn. I got rid of the Torn. And essentially, I just swept from that point because I had Tailwind set up. I have Bleak Wind. Yeah, so like there wasn't much to be said around that. It was truly like a set that came down to, do you get the turn 1 correct or not? But yeah, so I digress.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like game 3, let's say, like I don't know if you led the same. Do you guys end up leading the same stuff in game 3 or no? Okay, I'm curious. Like if he goes for Tailwind into surging onto your Torn, like turn water, what is your counterplay to that? Like I'm just curious. Like what is the best? How do you win that turn if he goes for that?
So the way that I win is if I try to. I don't necessarily think it's from that turn. Let's say, for example, like if he does commit with that, I just need to be able to play the next 2 turns correctly in terms of being able to distribute the pressure from the Shifu accordingly. So let's say, when do I bring my female Ndidi in or not? Do I bring it in on turn 1 anticipating the Urshifu going into my Torn, so I don't set up Tailwind, because there's so many different layers of, cascading mind games. And maybe that could have been a play to be able to sort of go with my gut saying he's going to focus into it. What's a great way for me to capitalize off of that? And I think he read that scenario in game 2 lead, and that's why he didn't commit with the Tailwind.
Yeah, he thought that might have been the Ndidi switch in turn.
That's it.
I guess if you switch in Ndidi, he goes for surging Bleak Wind.
Yep.
He goes for he goes for Tailwind surging. He's at half. You KO the Torn. He probably wins in Rilla on your Ndidi.
That's it.
That's when you probably switch out the Ndidi maybe even again. Or you like, and then okay, so it becomes one of those that like, or you actually click. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting, Matt. It's an interesting one to run through. I think you have to really like run through the turns, but
you sort of need to forfeit terrain at some point.
Yeah, it sounds tricky to you because you have the slower Ursh. Even though you have Sash, you can get rid of. I think him having the faster Ursh and his Rilla being faster than your Ndidi makes it a little bit of an uphill climb. It's almost like he has to get the turn wrong, or you have to kind of play in Trick Room or something. Like, it sounds interesting. Yeah,
there was a part of me that thought, do I try to go for Trick Room? But then because of the EVs of, let's say, the Crown and the stuff, I've made them a bit more faster. Maybe I'd capitalize off of it if I was, different nature invest, or at least the training that I've got in it. But at this point, I just felt like it probably was going to be just Torn Shifu galore. And there was the additional mind game of game 3, do you go for the switch of the Torn into the Rilla?
On his end, yeah.
Yeah, on his side. So I didn't commit with that. I should have committed with just saying, right, he's not going to bring it, and I'm just going to pick up a KO. And that's how I lost essentially game 3, because there was a reverse scenario where I didn't set up Tailwind and I got taken out because I thought he was surely going to switch the Rillaboom in. And we discussed it a bit after as well. And it was like, it was a 50-50 call. I was like, fair dues.
Both of you have to basically make a coin flip, right? Coin flip.
Basically, yeah. But he was able to see it out with the Odrapon and Rillaboom. I think in that game 3, he was just it was a fantastic game. It was very stressful.
Yeah,
but no, he's a great guy as well.
Yeah. So now you're winning in time. Now it's like one more match, baby. One more match. And you pull up into, I don't know if you're familiar with this team, but Kieran Singh won the Grand Challenge with this team. Number 1 or number 2. He finished
number two. Yeah.
And it's this tail room team with a Basque Legion, which we haven't really seen in this format outside of this. So tell me about this match and how it went. I'm curious, man.
So I see the team sheet. And I'm like, that reminds me of something. And I'm like, oh, I know why this reminds me of something. Because I told my wife, oh, hey, before I set off for the venue, I'm just going to quickly check this YouTube video just in case I run into this team.
That's actually crazy, man.
No, it was incredible. And then I was like, oh, yeah, I watched the entire video as I was walking to the venue. I was like, okay. And Kieran mentioned at the end of it, he's like, my adaptations, if you were to try to take it to a best of 3, would be AV on Basque Legion. I was like, okay, all right, cool. So I had I didn't anticipate this matchup when I was building team, whatever stuff. But the fact that I was able to do very quick homework before going to the venue meant that I kind of knew how this team functioned. So I was able to get, I think, all of the calls correct. It was pretty great. Like it was unfortunate for Alexander, but from my side, I was just able to sort of know what the team is meant to do, so it didn't surprise me in the slightest. And the
mindset that he's going to try to play in. Yeah, he doesn't know your mindset, and now it's like you can kind of figure out how to do that from there.
Well, exactly, because I think they led Lando Torn. And I just led raw Torn Shifu. I was just like, I'm just in a Torn Shifu like there's no tomorrow when it comes to this game 1. And really, it was just the rain dance show at that point. There was a Basque Legion that was left, but after 3 turns, I was able to pick it off with the Shifu in rain. And
you have Sash as well.
I've got Sash, exactly. So I was just able to end game with Shifu, which is really good.
Because I'm sure he always brings Fridge Wrath and Ursh. I'm sure he brings these two always.
So about that, when it came to game 1, he did not bring Fridge Wrath. He brought Basque Legion, it was the Lando, it was the Torn, and it was the Dark Fu. So trying to go for the fast mode, essentially.
Okay, yeah.
So then I thought, okay, game 2, right? We saw how that game 1 went. It was quite bad for their side. Game 2, you have to make a change. If you don't make a change, you're sort of accepting you're probably going to lose. Although, it's not as clear cut, but you're at a disadvantage because of, how the momentum swings. And I thought, okay, they're going to absolutely have to lead the free draft and maybe either Hands or the Dark Fu to be able to thread in with the Trick Room setup. I've played Trick Room a lot of times in my life. So I'm well versed in what it can and can't do. And essentially, I got the lead right. I ended up leading with Side Spam. And you're like, oh, wait a second. What does that do, essentially? And I'm like, well, it finds a great way to be able to, I would say, pick up a very surprise quick raw KO on the Urshifu because my Iron Crown.
Yeah.
Well, no, my Iron Crown, it outspeeds Adam and Urshifu, right? Because of that 149 to 150 interaction, if for whatever reason it's got speed invest. So I think I just raw helping handed
Tachyon Cutter.
And I just picked up the one shot, and then it was sort of a battle of, okay, sure, Trick Room is set up. What do we do now? I think it was the fact that I won the mind game of the Trick Room being reversed and me just going for the raw damage with the crown. I was just like, I'm just going to spam stuff now. And the fact that I'm forcing you to either cover for the Trick Room being reversed or taking damage means that you have to make a decision. And I think because of that, I was able to just not give them enough resources. The Trick Room at some point was sort of reversed, but it was a scenario where I was able to sort of see that out in terms of having the Shifu sash in the back as well, which, like I said, sort of creates a situation where I just finish the game. You need to have
they can't, and they don't have. They have like a little bit of spread damage, but like it's not to the point where if you control the speed, it's tough for them to do that.
Pretty much. So yeah, I think it was a tough situation for Alexander because I kind of knew how their team functioned literally the morning of. So,
it's crazy. Destiny, bro. Destiny.
Mate,
They said we're gonna give you the gold trace to deal with for knowing you're winning in, and you won.
Dude, I know, right? Like you'd think
those. So now you go to sleep. You're like, okay,
yes.
Oh, we did it. We're in day 2 in Canada. Let's go. And then you wake up and you're like, okay, bright and early, like 7:30 or whatever. Get to the venue. You know, you're a caster. You've commentated at the biggest stage in the world. You know, I'm sure you casted EUIC a bunch when I was there. You know the studs, especially in Europe. And you look at you refresh the phone. And you see Marco e Manta Caladura Silva. And you go, tell me like, well, maybe you didn't. I'm curious. Like, tell me about this moment for you.
So, I've had the pleasure of meeting Marco multiple times, and
he's awesome.
He's a great guy. I've done his winner's interview multiple times. I remember at Malmo, my first ever commentary gig, I was doing interviews for him after he had come fresh off of like OCIC.
Oh yeah, back with the was it the Gorgon? No, he had the what was his team back then? Oh my god, I forget. But it was really fun. The Dracovish something,
Vish stuff and whatnot. But yeah, so I've seen him multiple times in one aspect, but I've never gone against him in a set. And I'm like, okay, all right. I see his name. And I'm just like, cool. At that same time, another fellow caster, Mr. Ben Kiriakou, who coincidentally we didn't know each other were even competing. We only found out
both of you were competing there,
dude. Yeah. We only found out like 5 days before. I was like, oh, by the way, wait, what? I heard you're going to Toronto. I was like, wait, what? Are you going to? Like, and we both brought Okidogi as well, like completely unchecked.
That's awesome.
So my point here is we both refresh and we see the names. Federico Camporesi for him. Marco Hermantha Caladura Silva.
You had Mario and Luigi round 1, bro.
No, we're just like, what? Who's messing with these pairings? Because like we're all EU, mate. Like, don't try to shoot us down. Like, we want more EU chances. And obviously we're up against like 2 of the most well-known players to touch the game. So, I was just scanning poker data stuff so I could try to see what team he has on the way to bloody the sit down.
That's crazy. The 2 Greeks pulled freaking. Is he Greek? Is Ben Greek as well?
So funny thing is, Ben is technically like part Greek. He's like part Cypriot. That is his surname. So you identified that.
Yeah, that's why I was like, well. It sounds Greek. That's why.
You're right, mate. You're right. He's a fake Greek. I tell him that all the time to his face. Unbelievable. I'm trying to teach him Greek, but anyways, point is that if you think about it like that, it's quite true. So we go up.
We had the battle, the olive battle, man. We had a good battle there. That's awesome. No, you and him pulling Marco and Fede is so funny. Like first thing,
it's hilarious, mate. We couldn't believe it. We're just like, who's making a prank and all that stuff. But anyways, like going to
the match,
the seat then. Yeah, going to the match. I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, cool. Iron Crown does good stuff with Carmine Bolt. Fine. Pow is Crash, so it's not Spinner, which means A, it's not going to get rid of my terrain, but also B, it's not going to get chipped by Helmet. Yep. And then there was Taunt on Instant. I was like, okay, all right, that's interesting. Sort of expected fire type move there, but that makes sense, I guess, for certain matchups. But it was sort of the battle of, right, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to try to get in his mindset and see what he kind of needs to do, because Marco, one of the best players, he bringing a sort of balanced core team, in a way, but then with the power for more offensive damage output kind of makes sense. And I wasn't 100% sure how he would play this, like how offensive or defensive. So it was just more a matter of scouting out in terms of.
It's like super priority. Like in my head, if I'm just looking at it, like he wants to control terrain and hit you with priority moves is what it looks like.
Well, that's it. And we both, once again, since he's got the Rilla, I've got the DD, we need to be able to preserve our terrain for the right time.
Yeah.
And so we both lead with non-terrain, obviously. I go for Torn Shifu. He goes for Power Ogre. How this goes down is I'm thinking if I'm able to get Tailwind scenario, and even if I don't have the Psychic Terrain, I mean, it'd be fantastic if I did, but even if I don't, at least on the POW, because of Tachyon Cutter, I threaten a guaranteed KO onto it. It's
no sucker punch. No sucker punch.
Exactly. It's Terra Ice as well. So Crown actually has a really good matchup into this particular POW. So it's more so trying to catch him out in terms of, yet again, extending or exposing his Rillaboom and picking up raw quick KO. I think, and I don't remember which part, but because I live with Torn Shifu, I was clicking Bleak Wind, I was clicking all the Surging Strikes of the World and Rain and all that stuff, but I got a lucky crit in game 1. I'm trying to remember where it was. I think it was a Bleak Wind, or no, it wasn't a Bleak Wind, but it was perhaps it was close combat on the Shifu, and I think I picked up his Bolt, which he wasn't anticipating. But the way, or actually it put the Bolt within range of being picked up, but the way that he was able to handle this game was exceptional, because he was down, like, I think, what was he? He was down 2 Mons versus me or something like that.
Yeah.
But he was able to bring this back. Part of me is thinking, okay, well, I could have played a bit more optimally there. I could have focused a bit in terms of trying to get more guaranteed, read what he has to do kind of stuff. But he was able to bring it back with the Bolt on its own at some point. And we had to go into mind games of Thunderclap, into sort of like protects and redirection stuff. And he was able to win game 1. I was just like, I was shocked, man. I was just like,
how the power really pulled this out?
Like it's sort of at the same time, I threw. But also he played the best that he could in that scenario when he had bad RNG, and he got it. So I was sort of like, okay, cool. I'm just gonna fall back on the crux of, okay, I've lost so many game 1s in this tournament. Let's try to lock in right now. I need to try to make better plays and adaptations of going into game 2. I could bring this back. So I think the crit actually was on the Ogre-Pon, if I'm not mistaken, with the tour. So game 2 leads. He goes for the Power Ursh, whilst I go for the Torn Ursh. And there are a bit of mind games in terms of which Pokemon is going to get switched out here or not. I think he anticipated me anticipating him to switch the power out into the Bolt. Or Rilla. And I was just like, no, I'm just going to play straight in terms of some of the lines. If he does the switch in, okay, it's not the worst, because there's a chance that I will be able to survive the Surging Strikes from the Rapid Strike if he doesn't commit with Terra Water, which he did not commit with Terra Water. And then at that point, I just was able to get one very rapid KO onto his power because I committed with the Terra Water, or Stella at that point. And he didn't pick up a KO on me. So because I got Tailwind set up. And the fact that I was able to do that, obviously power goes down, means that he thinks that, let's say, for example, he doesn't need Terra Water, because if his power remains on the field because of Sword of Ruin, he'll be able to pick up my Torn. But that's in anticipation of me thinking he's going to try to make a switch, and there's no way he's going to keep his power on the field. So it's like,
in his head, he's like, the only way I lose this turn is if Kosta terras and targets me down, because he probably loads the Sash Adamant Surging anyway. So you got the turn right, and then you just took the momentum from there.
Basically, yeah. And I think the Ogre and Rillaboom were in the back, but it was more so the fact that now that meant I've got Tailwind set up. I've got a very important KO out of the way, and now I've got the terrain back on the field. So sure, you bring the Ogre-Pon, but I could go for Rain Dance now. And I could go for the straight KO onto your Ogerpon. I don't need Terrastella. I just need the Rain.
Yep.
But then do you make the switch of your Urshifu into the Rillaboom so you can get priority Grassy Glide on the field?
You have a DD for that.
Exactly. So that was the mind games.
A dance, but you had the advantage in the dance.
I did, but then I technically had Tailwind. So that meant because I was faster, his switches are slower, which means he will always guarantee the grassy terrain versus my psychic terrain.
This is true.
So I think that's why I opted to not switch in the Indeedee when he switched in the Rilla, and I just went for full offensive, and I just picked off the KO that I needed to.
Nice.
So that was game 2. I was happy with the game 2. Now game 3. So game 3, same leads, Power Ursh versus Torn. His Power Ursh versus my Torn Ursh. Now, this is quite crucial because we saw the exact same leads from both of us in game 2. So there's going to be mind games of, okay, he expects me to make an adaptation or defensive play or some sort of reaction play versus not. He saw it didn't work out for him in game 2. Game 3, he does make hard switches. And that hard switch was the Chien-Pao into the Bolt.
Okay.
Now, that's very important because I know that, because it's obviously splash plate, so it's like Mystic Water Ursh on his side, he's not going to be max speed, most likely. He's going to have investment, which means my Urshifu is going to be faster, right? Because it's Sash. Which means my Torn is going to be faster, which means the play is, do I read the POW staying in or not? Yeah. And I focused into the Urshifu. I ignored the POW, which is a tough decision to make when you've got a Tornadus. So you got a Tornadus. I don't have Terra Steel, so I could try to thread in a resist or something like that to the ice type moves coming out from Chien-Pao. But the thing is, I pick up a critical hit with my Bleak Wind onto the Urshifu, which didn't commit with the Terra, whilst I committed Terra Stella on my Urshifu.
On close combat.
You
that bolt on switching.
So I didn't get rid of it, but I dealt 80-ish% to 90 on a bolt. So, dude, so the fact that I was always going to guarantee the Urshifu KO.
Yeah, you got the call right.
But I got lucky because the CC Terra Stella went into the bolt instead of the Urshifu.
Yeah.
So in that part, I got lucky, but at the same time, I made the play that I had to. So, understandably,
that's it sucks for him, but again, regardless, you would have been in a really advantageous spot.
I would have. I think I would have been. Although I would have burnt the Terra Stella CC, but at that point, it's true that I would have picked up a KO regardless. So I was already in a 4 versus 3 mon advantage.
And you're with Indeedee, he can't clap you, right? So on that next turn, you didn't even click Tailwind. You have a very free whatever he brings. Let's say he brings POW back in, a very free Terra Stellar surging plus Indeedee switch in.
Exactly.
And then but that turn 1 though, I think it's a really good call because it's just cool because he's no way in this spot can he just let this Tornadus go down. He's trying to think that you're gonna do that, and you said, I'm a savage, which is awesome.
Well, it worked out because that's sort of the part where you're thinking to yourself, okay, I need to be able to trust my instinct and not get in my own head because my head was saying, oh, there's no way he's gonna do that. He's not gonna, surely he's not going to do that because it's a bit too obvious. But then I'm thinking, okay, let me try to pay attention to the storyline of this set. And this is the way that I really like seeing a set. It helps me both in commentary as well as actually playing. I try to see, obviously, previous actions and play styles and preferences and try to mold it into, all right, we saw game 1, game 2. That was chapter 1, chapter 2. Chapter 3, this is where all of everything is bottling up right now. Both trainers, they know what they've learned from that game 1. So which sort of direction are they feeling like they have to try to commit with? Yeah. And I felt like he has to switch the power out because if he doesn't switch it out, then
Yeah, you're
Game 2 happens again. Yeah. He doesn't want that. So it worked to my advantage. I was able to essentially win out from there. I think I still had crown in the back, but it's the fact that, like you said, the DD was just so important, and I was able to just lock it up. I couldn't believe it when it happened. I was just like, okay, I guess I'm gonna win. Sure, I did get crit, but we take those. We take those. And yeah, I was very, very happy with that moment.
Yeah, dude. Well, that's a huge win. So congrats, bro. And now again, you're still X-2. You're 7-2 now. Now you're playing with Abe Rath. Talk to me, bro.
So Abe, lovely guy. We got on so much, like a house on fire. And at the same time, I was looking at his team and I'm like, we're not getting on like a house on fire in terms of matchup, because I did not like this matchup. So I think Abe didn't have as much line experience when it came to this, but he still he showed a lot of his natural experience from skill VG, because I think he only attends locals in Canada. But you could tell he's one of the old veteran players, and he's got a good instinct for things. But basically, I learned from a couple of my previous mistakes. I'm like, okay, I need to get rid of this Wellspring and Bolt combo. It is so painful to go up against. But it turns out he didn't lead with it in game 1. I was like, oh, okay, all right, I'll take that, because I went for Torn Shifu. I was like, I need to try to focus maybe CC into the Wellspring if it comes, or the Bolt if I'm not expecting a Fairy Terror commit or something like that. And he led Lando Torn. Now Lando Torn was interesting because of my focus sash. I just always guarantee I'd pick up the KO on one of them. Depending on Terror commit and all that stuff. So that's essentially how it went. I think it was just like a ran out of the fact that Focus Sash was able to survive Earth Power. He couldn't touch my Torn as much. I got the Tailwind set up. I got rid of the Tornado straight away. He didn't do the hard switch of the Wellspring, which I thought was a very valid play. He didn't do it in the Torn. I think he did do it in the Lando slot, so I was able to get that 50-50, right? Nice. And then because I had Tailwind set up, he didn't have Tailwind. Sure, he's got Wellspring redirect available, but then I have Bleakwind into Terra Stellar CC. And I'm just having a good time. So
game one cleanly, so
it was pretty clean. Now game 2 was not as clean as I'd like. It was So going into the details, he identified Water Pond Bolt being a really good lead into my match. So he led with it. And I led, anticipating he's probably going to have to go with Pond Bolt. I need to be able to capitalize off of that. The fact that he doesn't have a Rillaboom. Take advantage. I go for Psy Spam. I'm like, I'm going to go Crown, DD. I'm going to try to pick up swift damage and immense damage, just helping hand shenanigans, because there's no Snarl on this Bolt. I need to take advantage of it. So that's essentially what started off to being good momentum in my favor there. I think he was committing with trying to go for the KO onto my Iron Crown. I was sort of between the concession of, okay, he's going to Electro Web me. I'm going to be slower. But I've got Torn in the back to be able to help my Iron Crown get propped up for speed. Right? So it sort of came down to picking up as much damage as I could. He was trying to play around with spiky shields and stuff. But with the helping hand, I was able to guarantee on Terra Water Pond, 70% HP? And that's what I need in terms of my Urshifu in the back to be able to capitalize. Right? Now, things got tricky, though, when he brought the Flutter Main. But most importantly, it wasn't the Flutter Main that was the main issue. It was the fact that he was committing with Thunderbolt Raging Bolt, and he got the para. And he got the full para 2 turns in a row.
Wow.
And I was like, you get the para status into the same turn full para onto my crown, into the next turn full para onto my crown that could have picked up the Wellspring, and I was just having a good time there. which was so dicey because I was literally going to lose. And we ended up, because of that, in an end game of his Torn versus my Sash Shifu. And
you dodged Bleakwind to win?
Dude, that was the win con. I had to dodge Bleakwind.
And you did it?
And I did it. And dude, it was outside.
You had plot armor this tournament, bro. you actually had plot armor, bro.
Hey, to be fair, the awesome. T-Waves, like, if
you down.
I got it off,
I agree.
In game. But you're right. I definitely had.
That's the definition of plot armor, bro. It is. You were the player who got knocked. Like I think in the teachers where like the hero gets knocked off, knocked down. And then it's like he gets back up because he ain't losing. They're gonna make me think he's gonna lose, but he ain't losing.
Mate, I know. I was just like, is there a camera around? Like, what's going on?
That's crazy. That's crazy. It was awesome though. So again, 2-0 win. 2-0. Like, you've won 4 in a row. Now you're playing Jesse Romulo, and you're just on fire. House on fire right now. And this is your winning in. No, this is your winning in for your winning in.
Basically, because every single one was a winning in for the other consecutive. It's crazy.
Yeah, but now you're kind of catching up. So this player is also, again, same spot as you. Can't lose anymore.
That's it.
So talk to me, bro.
So Jesse he played a really good game overall. I think this came down to, once again, a game 3 where game 1 I lost. So once again, back against the wall. It was just at that point it was on repeat, the tape recorder. And
game 1, game 2. Here we are again, game 3.
Dude, I know. I should really improve on my game 1s. But anyways, I think he led Glim and the Torn. So that was quite tricky because he's just got a lot of offensive pressure. The speed tiering as well of the Glim is quite nice if you opt in for speed nature for you to be able to outspeed Urshifus and stuff like that, or adamant ones.
All those,
which it was able to outspeed both, which was very important in terms of the lines that I needed to find in order to be able to win this out. So he led Glim Torn and I led Shifu Torn. I picked up the Torn because I commit with the Terra Water. But the problem is, because we both set up Tailwind, his meter beam obviously connected, which is fine. I didn't have an additional way to be able to have speed control. So that's it. I was done. And all he needed to do was bring in the Flutter main and just Icy Wind spam me and, like Lamora spam me to pick up the KOs. And that's essentially how game 1 went, really. Now, game 2, he went with Torn Bando.
Okay.
Anticipating me to go for Trick Room, which I think I did because I was like, okay, surely I need to try to change this up, take advantage of the speed tiering and all that stuff. So I think he forced me to commit to either going for Terra Fairy Trick Room or going for an E-Force Raw, which I led with because I led with Side Spam. Because I was like, okay, I either get a lot of damage dealt or I get Trick Room set up. So the real question is, do I commit with a Protect on my Iron Crown, or do I try to just, go for the offensive? So I thought, no, let me play it safe because back against the wall, I've just got to be a bit cautious. Sometimes offensive, but right now I just want to guarantee.
I feel like you're in that spot,
Yeah, and also is the question of how fast is the Bando versus my Crown, because I've got 150 speed. If he's adamant, he's going to be slower. So Trick Room was just absolutely not set up. EQ, Bleakwind, commit, I think. But then I was like, okay, I've got Sectarian on the field. I bring Torn in, and I've got Shifu in the back waiting. Tailwind set up. I don't think he committed with Tailwind, but E-Force just came out and dealt some raw damage he was not able to recover from. And I picked up a KO. And at that point, I was like, okay, we actually haven't. I'm ahead because I've gone with my fast mode, and now he doesn't have a way to be able to deter that because my Torn is still on the field.
And his Torn Flutter can't really hit your Crown Heart anyway. Same with his Shin Pow with your Ndidi up. So yeah, he's in a tough spot.
Right. And because the Torn is still alive, I've got Covert Cloak, so his Icy Winds will not affect my Torn. So I'm always going to guarantee the Icy Winds on his side of the field. So I was able to win out like that, basically. And then game 3, it came down to a lot of mind games. he led with Glim Torn, and I think I led with Psy Spam again. And this is sort of like the mix of all of our leads in previous games.
Yeah.
And I think I just raw helping hand E-forced straight into both of them.
Yeah.
And he didn't commit with the Tailwind. He went for Bleak Wind. He didn't get the special drop, the speed drop, sorry. But the fact of the matter is he focused on the female Ndidi. And because I helping hand E-forced, I got rid of the Torn. And I got rid of the, what's it called? The Glim. Yeah, turn 1. That's it. Done. Yeah. And then I bring in my Torn.
Yeah,
like, okay, cool.
You have later, GG. Boom.
Yeah, GG.
Sometimes size spam just size spams, bro.
Literally. And I think he had brought Pow, but at that point, I had...
Urshifu, bro.
Well, not only that, I had Tachyon Cutter, and I think I was able to just pick up the raw KO there, and it was sort of like, there was still some reads that could have been done, but I was able to get the read where he doesn't protect the POW, and I was able to capitalize and just pick up the Tachyon.
Yeah, also, it's so hard to protect when you're down 2-4. Like, you know what I mean?
It's true. It's true.
So now, last round, it starts with Gold Trace, and it looks like it ends with it. So,
poetry.
Tell me about this one, man.
Mate.
Hey.
Right. Like I said about round 1, it all comes down to turn 1 of game 1. Do I get the predict or not? Obviously, it was featured on stream and all that stuff. So if anyone hasn't gone and checked it out, go check it out, and you shall see how much fun my team especially when I see the team. And I'm thinking, okay, there's always going to be 2 leads. He's going to be Brinning. It's going to be Fluttermane Goldtress, or it's going to be Bolt Pon. He opts for Fluttermane Goldtress. I go with Torn Shifu. I'm like, okay, it's so important to be able to pick up a KO. If I'm able to get rid of 1 slot, like I was saying before, psychological game is in effect.
Costa, real quick, okay, you continue.
Yeah.
You froze for a sec, that's why. Continue.
Oh, fair enough. So yeah, essentially what it came down to was picking up the 1 KO slot.
Yep.
Do I commit with the Goldtress for a focus of Rain Dance, Surging Strikes, Terra Stella, which I was 50-50 on? Or do I try to just simple commit Tailwind, Terra, Surging Strikes into the Fluttermane, which picks up the KO? I got the flip run. He switched the Fluttermane in for the Bolt, from what I remember, which meant that obviously I dealt like, what, 30% or something like that? And Goldtress was just able to just do the Goldtress stuff, pick up, damage where it needs to, and just stay on the field. And if I genuinely had committed with the other 50, I would have picked up the Goldtress. It would have been gone. Bolt would have been on the field. Fluttermane would have not had its booster energy anymore. And that's why it was...
And you'd have had DD if you brought it.
Exactly.
Clap,
But sort of the point was, is he willing to forego the booster energy on the Fluttermane or not? That's what it really came down to.
And you were like, there's no way he gets rid of this booster.
I didn't expect him to get rid of it that early. I thought he was going to play safe. But then again, at that point, we're both in a win-and-in scenario. I think the default thought should be he's willing to make the concessions in order to further his board management. So, hindsight,
he had the turn right. That game 1, so it's tough. So
it's tough, and this is my worst matchup. So that doesn't make things easy. And I think in the later on in the interviews as well, he sort of says, I saw the team. I was like, all right, cool. I know exactly what to do, and he doesn't have a lot of stuff to do. And I'm like, that pretty much summarizes it. Because I think there's just so much going for the core of Goldtress, Bolt, Fluttermane, Bulky, Booster, and Pon against my team, where I don't have a lot of options really. But game 2 arrives. I'm like, okay, I think I've just got to commit with the same lead. I just need to get the calls right. And he, if I'm not mistaken, led with Bolt. And what else was it? It was Bolt and might have been Flutter or Wellspring. I'm not sure. But the point is, I was like, okay, if I can read, he doesn't commit Terra Fairy on Bolt. He goes...
Or Terra Electric.
Yeah, exactly. It's electric. So I'm thinking, if he commits or just switches out whatever, just stays in with the Bolt, can I pick up a KO if I go for Icy Wind and Terra Stella CC into the Bolt? Is it enough? Surely it's enough. And lo and behold, it was not enough. He survived on like 5% or 10%. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I picked up that KO, I do feel like I would have had a bit more traction, and then I would have been able to dealt with the Doltress in the back. But it is what it is. I think there was just from that point on, there wasn't much I could do. I think I had brought the Okidogi as well.
It's a tough matchup, man. This is one of those where it's like you had to just like kind of not get lucky, but get the turns extremely perfect, and it's like
you do, because you're literally fighting back against the momentum of all the different options your opponent has. And obviously Dorian at that point, I didn't know that he was actually the player that had popularized this core as well.
The original. He's the OG.
Yeah, I know. And I'm just like, oh, okay. So I had to go up against my worst matchup that I was jokingly saying with the Greeks, oh yeah, we're not going to run into Goltrus, right? Against the guy that popularized it. Like, all right, cool.
And look how lucky he is. He got 2 Iron Crown and DDs in a row. With
mate, I know. I spoke to Ethan as well about it. I'm just like, yeah, no. It was unfortunate, but it's fine. And to be fair, I had a really, at that point, undefeated record against all Canadian players. And Dorian was the one player to be able to bring it back where it mattered. Truly.
Down. Hey, I mean, every round mattered, and you were still winning, bro. So you're doing a good job, man. And like, again, you built a great team. You had a really great run, bro. So I want to just like clap it up for the boy, bro. Guys, leave a like and go just comment the word goats or goat koala or something in the comments to let my boy know. But man, I really just want to give you credit for such an amazing run. And I guess I want to ask you one last question, man. Like, for someone who wants to be you, who wants to make these deep tournament runs, who maybe he wants to commentate, he just loves this game and wants to like get to a point where they're really feeling, into this space, whether it's competing or being involved more with the Pokemon, what would you tell that person, maybe even younger you, about this? And what have you learned from this tournament that maybe can align with some of that? Because I think that's something that people would love to hear from you, man.
No, I appreciate it. I would say probably the most important thing is to just have that hunger and drive and passion. Like if you are feeling something or you want to further explore something, you got to be able to fully commit where you can. Obviously, as long as, you're prioritizing life stuff appropriately. But if you're feeling truly passionate about something, don't let anybody say you can't do it. Because the probably the one person that will say it and consistently and insufferably is yourself. And you need to be able to get over your own personal hurdle because you're the only person that's holding yourself back from what you want to be able to achieve. So you just need to work hard and just be also in a point where you can be, I would say, I don't know, mentally happy and synergized with your goals to say, right, even if I've got all this passion, I've got all this drive, I want to be able to succeed and do well and all that stuff. It's like, at the same time, you need to be able to like let go of expectations. So
that's the key that everyone says. Like, even I say it all the time. If your happiness is dependent on a specific outcome, you will never be happy. Because because when you get it, you'll say, oh, I should have got this, nice. And it'll be like a 1-second moment. And if you don't get it, you'll hold yourself against it. Whereas the most important thing you can do is find ways to be happy through non-direct goals. What does that mean? Find friends, play in a community, give it your all, practice hard, go make the traveling experience a fun time. If you want to be a creator, you want to be a caster, like maybe do more casting online. I don't know what that looks like, but I think a lot of it is just like, I completely agree with you, man. Like, do the work, have fun, and do it in a sustainable way that is healthy for yourself. And I think, like, even for me, like, I made one top 8 and I made a whole YouTube channel off of that, man. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, for me, I know I love this game, and I think this channel is what's kept me in this game. And I look at, Toronto is special for me because 1 year ago, that's where everything changed for me. Like, I almost stopped playing because of like work and life and everything. Came back and had my dream run. Beat Wolf, made top 8, got on stream for the first time. And all of that, pushed me to be able to continue doing it. And I think what you're saying is true. Like, once I stopped caring about obsessing over day 2 or obsessing over, finding the way to build a cool team, things change. So I appreciate that sentiment a lot, bro.
No, likewise, mate. Honestly, I think it's sort of what we're saying. The only person holding you back is yourself. So if you keep on putting these mental weights over you, of course you're not gonna be able to see it through, and you're gonna buckle under pressure because you're just kind of screwing yourself over in a way. Have achievable goals without at the cost of your own mental health, because that's just going to be one of the most things. And like you said, the experience is cheesy as hell, yes, but it truly is what further, I don't know, allows you to achieve things without having that additional pressure of your own expectations in mind. Because when I go to events, I kid around. I'm like, yeah, okay, I really want to try to be the best and all that when I'm trying to compete. But at the same time, I'm able to find comfort in having so many similarities with everyone else that I meet, get along with people. Sure, like people are different. They're going to be people you get along with, people you don't. That's okay. Like we're all going to be going through our own experiences. And if you enjoy it, even certain aspects of it, that's the most crucial thing. So just try to have a good time. This game is tilting as hell, so just be careful. Like it's gonna happen. It's an RNG based competitive game. But like you need to be able to come to terms with being okay with that and just trying to look for the positives, build yourself up, whether through commentary, like you said, online stuff, explore venues and opportunities that you can. Go ahead, become a content creator yourself. Get some show reels going with your own commentary. Get a friend and do back and forths. Like that's how I kind of did it. They pulled me from nowhere 1 week before Malmo because I was doing streams. I was featuring. I put myself in graphics where I'm behind a virtual commentary desk shouting down the microphone. And they're like, oh, hey, that guy, he's got a lot of energy. He looks a bit crazy, but there's something about him. Like, why not? Let's give him a shot. And
you had everything you do that you put out is a chance. Is more multiplying your chance. Every time you go to a tournament, another chance you can win the tournament and get better. If you make a YouTube video, a chance you can meet someone new, make more subscribers, get another opportunity, right? It's so true, man. And thank you, man. I think, like, for one, I really appreciate you doing this. Like for anyone who's still watching this video, I appreciate it because we're almost 2 hours in. But I just really appreciate you being a part of this. I think a lot of players have big dreams of whether it's being the best player, being a caster, being a YouTuber, whatever that might be. People have these goals. I think you're someone has a really unique angle, and I'm really appreciative that we got to share that with everyone too. And of course, congrats on the run, man. So can people find you anywhere? Can they go show you love anywhere? Is there a place?
I think probably the best place would be my link tree, which is available in
I'll put that. It's in the description.
Check it. But so essentially X, Blue Sky, the YouTubes of the world. I've got all links. I am looking to try to get some content creation stuff back. So I'll try to be a bit more active on that front with some juicy different kind of content. Nice. But yes, so I'd say, go check me out there. And also probably check me out on the broadcast every now and then. I'll be presenting VGC stuff, EUIC. I'll be a host. So I'm looking forward to be able to bring more fun and joy and love to everybody that is involved with the game.
Yeah, man. And now you will do, guys. And if you guys want to see another video just like this, I recorded a team report with the Toronto. We have top 32 right here, but I recorded a winner's interview with Kerry Diortona. The video will be right over my face. Go watch that right here. But if you want to learn how to build your own teams, just like Kosta did, I have a team building series right over his head. So click that video right there. Thank you guys so much. All right, I'll see you guys later. Peace, man. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.